Well, well, look who it is, quipped the person behind the counter. Presenting Cellophane, Civilian Edition. The hero sighed, breath hot from beneath his mask. He walked towards the register, petting the awaiting feline curled up on the counter. Haven't seen you around as of late. How's heroing been? He peered up at the florist, hair haphazardly pulled back and eyes sunken with lack of sleep. What do you think? The florist grimaced. Yeah, I kinda figured. They left for the back, returning moments after with a steaming mug. Hanta instantly picked up the gentle aroma of tea, perking his senses enough to accept the mug with a tired thanks. So, is this just about hero work? Or something else? Hanta stopped midway through his sip. He didn't need to speak for the florist to know the answer. Is this about that sweet baker you've been visiting? The rim of the mug left Hanta's lips. I hate that you're observant. Not really. You just stink at hiding it, they said cheekily. The bakery's literally the only place you willingly go to. Hell, you make up excuses for deliveries just to see them. Pretty sure their own delivery boy hates you by now. Hanta let out a curt laugh. The florist was probably right. Judging by the way the delivery boy, Compass was it, greeted him every time he stopped by, hate might have been an understatement. Speaking of making excuses for deliveries, Hanta went on, returning to his tea. How's the massive bouquet Shinso made me send you? The mention of his friend made the florist smile giddily, a bright glow emanating from them that caused a nearby pot to sprout flowers. You two are disgustingly cheesy, Hanta joked, making the florist roll their eyes in response. I think you're just jealous. They nudged him before picking up a clipboard. I don't understand why you don't just talk to them. Judging by what you told me the other day, I'd say they're into you too. Hanta fell silent. His gaze wandered to the window, lingering on the civilians across the street. He unconsciously scanned each face, hoping to catch a familiar one. I don't know, he answered lamely. They didn't seem too happy to see me last time I stopped by. Well, you did bail on them mid-bake session. Very unmanly of you, Hanta. He waved his hand dismissively. He already heard enough from Eijiro. I was going to apologize and make it up to them the day after, but... He recalled the day he stopped by immediately after his shift, apology ready on his tongue as he entered the bakery. But who he saw at the counter wasn't who he was expecting. Compass straightened up in his seat, making his presence known to the hero. Sad to say, Tape Man, but your sweetheart isn't here. The hope instantly died in Hanta's chest, cheeks flushed from beneath his helmet. Ah, I see, he responded, trying to hide his disappointment. Hey, if I may, do you know if they're alright? They seemed off yesterday. Yeah, they're just on sick leave. I came back to the bakery because I forgot something, and I found them passed out on the floor. I suspect that they overused their quirk by how hot their body was and how foggy the windows were. The way he spoke of the incident, completely nonchalant and not at all concerned, caused a jolt of alarm to tense Hanta's muscles. They what? Don't worry. My girlfriend, the roommate's been looking after them. Compass held back a laugh at the suddenly rigid form of the hero. Jeez, you look like you're ready to kill someone. Hanta laid his head on the counter. He felt the feline rub against his head as he let out a muffled groan. He should have been there that night. Maybe then he would have prevented you from overusing your quirk and getting sick. Another reason why hanging Minetta from the ceiling with his tape for over 2 hours was a good idea. The florist lightly hit his head with a clipboard. Feeling sorry for yourself won't get you anywhere. From his folded arms, he watched as the florist moved around behind the counter, picking a pot full of soil and burying seeds into them. With a swift move of their hand, they emitted a soft glow, and a small bush of yellow and red roses sprouted forth. They expertly trimmed the flowers before picking several smaller plants, baby's breath if he recalled, and bundling them in decorative paper. After tying it all with a silk ribbon, Hanta was presented with a neat bouquet that rivaled the one he was sent to deliver. At least, that's what he thought. "Your work certainly is a sight," he commented. With hands on their hips, the florist proudly puffed out their chest. "This is for you." Hanta quirked a brow, but was dismissed by the florist patting his shoulder. "It's about time you stopped hiding away behind that hero persona. Time for you to man up and show that sugar sweetheart of yours that you're serious about your feelings." Wait. Hanta waved his hands, shaking his head in disbelief. "Who said I was going to?" "This whole pining situation has been going on for longer than necessary. And knowing you, it'll go on for longer. Trust me, if this bouquet worked for me and Shinso, it'll work for you." Hanta eyed the bouquet, vibrant yellow petals dipped in red, surrounded by a cloud of white staring back at him. They shone with a velvety soft sheen, their delicate aroma wafting through his senses. There were multiple parts of him that wanted to reject this offer, to cower back behind his helmet, where the world was blind to his deepest emotions, where he could watch the world around him and react accordingly, without the need to worry about vulnerability. But the thought of finally opening up, to gaze at your face without that stupid visor darkening his vision, to appreciate and adore you not as cellophane, but Hanta Sero, it gave him hope. The decorative paper crinkled under his touch, the flowers shuffling in a beautiful array of yellow and red. The florist smiled. He reached for his wallet to pay, but they shook their head. "Think of this as payment for all the help you do." They gave him one last pat on the shoulder. "You got this, hero." There was a chuckle that tickled the back of Hanta's throat, the reassurance, the final push he needed to walk out the shop with a newfound determination. He was finally going to do this, and he was going to do this right. "Are you sure you can work today?" "Roya, please, I swear I'm fine," you begged your roommate. "My quirk side effects don't last for more than a day." "That doesn't explain the fever that lasted almost 3 days afterwards." You groaned at her insistence, continuing to get ready for work. You had been slacking enough, and as much as you adored your roommate, her constant worrying won't exactly put food on your table. Not that she cooked, anyway. Seeing as she couldn't stop you, she begrudgingly gave in. "It'll be raining today, so at least take a jacket or umbrella with you. If Compass finds you passed out again, I got it." You cut her off, grabbing an umbrella from the wicker basket by the door. You bid her goodbye before exiting the apartment. There were less people than usual as you made your regular commute to work. The sky was a gloomy gray overcast, causing the streets before you to appear duller than normal. The sight didn't help your mood. You expected the day you recovered to have some semblance of life, but instead you were greeted with a strange silence as you weaved through the streets. "Oh hey, look who's back." Compass was the first person to greet you the moment the door opened. "How was the week-long fever?" "Killer." "That's what you get for overusing your quirk." You stuck your tongue out at him, making your way to the break room to start your shift. Just as your roommate said, light showers began to fall, and only continued to pound harder against the window as the afternoon went on. It was a slow day, as any rainy day was for the bakery, which you quietly thanked. You just wanted to spend today quietly with nothing but the music of rain to accompany you. Then again, the red velvet cookies you were snacking on weren't a bad accompaniment either. Bless your coworker's heart for making them for you after you got sick. As the clock ticked away, you listened to the faint chatter of your coworkers from the break room, masked by the pitter-pattering of rain. Normally, you would have joined them, shooting back with your own form of dumb banter. Speaking of dumb, you felt a hand roughly tussle your hair, groaning up at Compass, who was grinning childishly at you. "Hey, sad sack. Mind if we close up early today? There's only an hour left of the shift, and it doesn't look like we're getting any more customers." And I don't think I can take much more of that pout on your face. You whined as he shoved his hand away when he began pinching your cheek. You're gonna get wrinkles, dummy. You just want to clock out early so you can see Roya, you retorted. The way his face scrunched up with his cherry red flush proved your speculations correct. You didn't know what kind of hold your roommate had on your coworker, turning him from a brazen, no-shits-given smartass into a mushy-gushy, you're like a dream, lovesick fool. You snorted, lightly shoving him towards the door. Just get going, before she passes out and leaves you waiting outside again. The speed he left to grab his belongings, wish you and the rest of the staff good night, and disappear through the rain was probably the most amusing thing you witnessed your whole shift. You hoped your sleepyhead of a roommate would let him in this time. Some time passed, and one by one, the rest of your coworkers clocked out for the night, wishing you well for the rest of the closing shift. For the next half hour, you cleaned up the front, shutting off display lights and wiping counters. Jazz music echoed through the room, blending with the rain drumming against the window. After thinking you found the sense of tranquility you desperately needed the last few days, the chime of the bell, followed by a rush of cold air, entered your little haven. "Welcome. Just letting you know we'll be closing up soon," you greeted, turning to find a tall figure soaked from the heavy rainfall. He didn't meet your eyes for a moment, busy slicking his hair back and wiping his face. When he did, however, he flashed you a friendly smile. "Sorry for the inconvenience, and the wet floor," he said, gesturing to the small puddle he created upon entering. "I just needed some shelter from the rain. I'll be out of your hair in a bit." You nodded in understanding. You couldn't deny the poor soul drenched to the bone, a bouquet hanging limply in his grasp. A bundle of clouds, with a drop of sunset captured in the form of yellow and red roses. A blaze of color against the desolate downpour. The sight made your stomach churn, remembering the cause of your leave and the blood-red ball that fogged your better judgment. A poor soul, indeed. "Beautiful, are they not?" the man spoke up. His words made you realize just how long you had been staring at the flowers, and at him. Maybe it was the rain, maybe it was the flowers, or maybe it was your subconscious longing for something that wasn't there. But the man seemed incredibly familiar. "Sorry, but I have to ask, have we met before?" His eyes seemed to widen upon hearing your speculation, turning away momentarily as he nibbled at his lip. "Not exactly. I often pass by the shop on my way to work, but this is the first time I'm visiting," he answered. "I see. Why? Do I remind you of someone?" You didn't know if it was your mind playing tricks on you, but you swore you heard a faint trace of hope in his tone. You let out a breathy chuckle. "None that I can recall, sir." He nodded, his smile tempering to a tight-lipped grin. A silence followed, the man still awkwardly standing by the door while creating a marine ecosystem under his feet. Even without saying a word, you were certain he was freezing, and you couldn't let a stranger get sick under your watch. You excused yourself before heading towards the break room, where you retrieved a spare towel before returning to the man. "Oh, thank you," he said as you handed the towel over. "You really didn't have to. I can't in good conscience have someone potentially get sick while under the shop's roof," you assured, another thought popping into your head. In fact, you held your hands out to him, and he only looked at them in bewilderment. "May I? Your hands," you clarified when he didn't react. His brow arched in a questioning glance, but gently laid a hand over yours regardless. They were calloused, slender fingers stained pink from the cold. Despite that, though, there was already a warmth that encompassed them, a steady wave that flowed through the veins decorating his skin. "Is this some kind of trick? A new way of flirting, perhaps?" he mused. You let out an amused huff. "No trick here, sir. Just wanting to help a fellow citizen not get hypothermia." Besides, my friends don't call me a portable heater for nothing. Steam began to emit from your palms when you activated your quirk, feeling the warmth circling from your hands to his. You watched as the man's shoulders began to drop, muscles relaxing beneath your touch. Well, you're certainly hospitable to a person you just met, he pointed out as you focused on your quirk. However, that didn't stop you from shooting back. Well, sir, maybe if you give me your name, my hospitality will be justified. His airy laughter made your heart stutter, and your composure nearly slipped. It's Sero Hanta Sero. It was 15 minutes past closing, and even with the rain beginning to let up, the lights of the bakery shone brighter than ever. Cheesy love duets poured from the speakers, and chatter and laughter ran abundant. You had no idea who this Hanta Sero was, but the manner in which you clicked, quick, effortless, like little Lego pieces, was terrifying. Exciting. Terrifyingly exciting. You hadn't felt a connection like this since... well... So, enlighten me, Sero. You began, eyeing the bouquet that now laid on the front counter. The roses? Are they for a special someone? You wiggled your body teasingly. You could say that. Sero laughed bashfully, fiddling with the ribbon tying the bouquet together. And it was about time I said something, but due to work and my own personal issues, it's been hard to find good timing. You hummed, nodding your head with lips held in a tight line. Sero shook his head, possibly scolding himself, before regaining his smile. Why don't you enlighten me, sweetheart? What caused you to overuse your quirk? Something dumb, honestly. Sometimes you do stupid shit when you're in love. In love? That piqued Sero's interest, leaning in to hear more. And who might this be? Surely it's someone special for you to overheat like that. You chuckled, shooing him away. It's not as lovey-dovey as you think. The reason why I overheated was because of a stupid rumor going around. Oh? You know how rumors can be, especially regarding pro heroes. Sero nearly lost his footing. He pointed a shocked finger at you. You're in love with a pro hero? I know it's dumb, since everybody and their mamas are fawning over him. No, I didn't mean it like that. It's just... He rubbed the back of his neck, voice lowering to a murmur. Who's the hero? The name got caught on your tongue, a twinge of embarrassment beginning to settle on your cheeks. Was there harm in admitting your crush on the tape hero to a handsome stranger that waltzed into your bakery? It's... cellophane. You answered quietly, tempted to bury your face in your hands like a child. Oh! Sero squeaked. How long have you felt this way about him? He met your gaze, and you looked away. A while now, I guess. I fall for him every time he visits and helps with deliveries, but our interactions rarely go further than that. You slumped over the counter. There was a time we were baking something to celebrate his promotion, but he left before we finished. Do you know why? You could barely hear him when he spoke, looking up to see his downcasted expression. He looked over, and upon meeting your eyes, his face lifted slightly. I mean, maybe someone needed his help. A friend? Or a lover. You didn't react when you let that slip. You didn't catch Sero shaking his head. You don't know that for sure. And you do? You shot back, brow raised. You watched him hesitate, mouth fumbling for a suitable response, but eventually giving up. A beat passed. He straightened up, sweeping back his hair as he huffed. You know, maybe you should talk to him. This could be a misunderstanding. That's easy for you to say. I say it because I mean it. He cut you off, laying his hand over yours on the counter. His tone was serious, his expression hardened with sincerity. Trust me, as a man going through something similar, communication is key. His earnest gaze and the warmth of his touch sent the fluttering of butterflies in your stomach. You swallowed, burying the giddy feeling. I'd hate to seem desperate or needy. You won't, he assured you, taking your hand properly. That's the point of talking to him. Clear up the misunderstandings, address your concerns, and if he is in a relationship, which I highly doubt, at least you'll know so you can move on. You looked down at the hand encased in Sero's, and you felt him give it an encouraging squeeze. You finally gave in. He was right. You couldn't keep running away forever. Eventually, you had to face the hero properly, and whatever came out from that, you just have to accept. If things go south, I'm pinning the blame on you. The expression he had softened as he laughed, letting your hand go. That's fair. He took the bouquet, carefully picking a rose from the bundle and holding it out to you. A sign of luck in your pursuit for love. Although, I doubt you'll need it. You tried to deny the rose, but the man was insistent. He failed to notice the blush dusting your cheeks as you eventually plucked it from his grasp. Sero turned towards the entrance, where the rain had calmed to a gentle shower. He didn't even realize, nor did you realize how late it had gotten. I should head out, he said, recollecting himself and tucking the bouquet in his arm. Sorry for overstaying my welcome. Not at all. I enjoyed having you here. You moved to one of the shelves, stocking small packaged sweets, picking one off and handing it to him. You happened to make today all the more bearable. Not to mention giving me the pep talk of my life. He gave a light chuckle, taking the package with a small thanks. He almost hesitated on leaving, holding a hand out to you. I'll, see you around, yeah? You took his hand in your own. Yeah. See you around, Sero. 1 a.m. 1 frickin' a.m. It had been a solid 6 hours of your sheets ruffling as you twisted and turned in your blankets. You assumed that you would be knocked out by the time your body hit the mattress, but no, tonight just had to bring in more complications. You were already beyond exhausted from both work and mental and emotional anguish. This mystery man just happened to show up on a stormy day as a silver lining, and now he strung himself into every wayward thought. You already had a hero to worry about, but your conflicted heart decided that one simply wasn't enough. You turned until half your face was submerged in your pillow, and you noticed the bright yellow and red rose on your dresser. You bit down the growing smile at the thought of the man, reminding yourself that they were meant for someone else. He was meant for someone else. You were only offered a rose out of pity. That was all. Your eyes drifted to your phone on your bedside table, resting temptingly beside your desk lamp. That phone contained the number of a tape hero. You pondered for a moment. Was it worth calling him at 1 in the morning? Would he even be awake at this time? Were you stable enough to not mistake the current situation as a hazy fever dream? You're willing to risk it. With one final groan into your pillow, your hand shot out from under the blanket and grabbed your phone. Heaving your groggy ass out of bed, you leaned against the wall and yawned. You'll apologize if you wake him up, because damn it, it's now or never. If you had to take either having no filter due to exhaustion as you spoke to him, or chickening out when you were mentally conscious, as of this moment, you take the former. Unlocking your phone, you let out another heavy yawn as you searched through your contacts. Rubbing your bleary eyes, your thumb moved on its own, assuming you know where you were tapping, assuming you hit the dial button, assuming you put it on speaker. You rested your head against the wall, keeping your eyes shut and allowing your phone to ring several times. You began to speak the moment the call was picked up. Cello, it's me.
How many times have I told you, Dinky? If it's something to do with Minetta past midnight, take it up with Katsuki. He'll finish the job sleep-deprived faster than I ever could.
You opened your eyes, your gaze finally settling on your phone. Strange. That didn't look like the call screen. It looked like Sero without a shirt on with a toothbrush in his mouth. Sero? You finally spoke up, which caused the man in question to turn to his own phone. He slowly pulled the toothbrush from his mouth.
Hey, sugar. Nice seeing you.
His response was stiff. Very stiff. As in a deer in headlights kind of stiff. One moment, your phone was nestled in your hand. The next, it was carelessly thrown to the other end of the bed. You were wide awake at this point, all traces of sleep completely erased by utter shock. No wonder why Hanta Sero seemed so familiar. It was because he was the goddamned hero you had been pining for what felt like forever. Your body began to boil. For one, you were an idiot. Like, a huge idiot. 2, this was the very first time you video called him. And hot damn that bod. And 3, what the hell were you supposed to feel in this situation? Frustration? Embarrassment? Relief? All 3 at once? Your hands raked through your hair when you heard the water running on his end. A part of you hoped this was a hazy fever dream, and that you were going to wake up at any moment wondering what the hell happened. But at the same time, you wanted the man that caught your fancy at first glance to be the hero you grew to love. You heard him call your name, albeit hesitantly. You crawled across your bed and picked up the phone, facing the screen towards you. Sero coughed awkwardly at the sight of your hardened expression, briefly glancing away. The guy didn't even bother putting a shirt on, and frankly, it was doing terrible things to you. You sucked in a harsh breath, followed by a heavy exhale. You had questions needing answers, and a confession and feelings that needed clarification. Okay. Bakery, tomorrow, 4 p.m. We need to talk. He arrived 10 minutes earlier than you instructed. The moment the ring of the bell announced his arrival, your heart was immediately lodged in your throat at the sight of Hanta Sero in his hero uniform. He lacked his helmet, which was resting in his arm, while the other hand gripped an all-too-familiar bouquet. Is that really cellophane? It's gotta be. Whispers from exiting patrons filled your ears, making you sigh. You met Sero's eyes and nodded your head towards the break room door. He trailed after you with mild hesitation, the both of you slipping into the small room. Only when you heard Sero shut the door did you whip around to face him. Delivery? He said with a nervous chuckle, holding the bouquet out to you. You studied the roses, carefully taking them and cradling them in your arms. The fresh floral scent filled your lungs as you gently laid them on the table behind you. As sweet as the gesture was, it wasn't going to erase the bubbling emotions you were feeling at your recent discovery. So, communication is key, huh? You iterated, your own words making Sero look down. You're not very good at taking your own advice, are you? Can't say I have the best track record, he replied jokingly, trying to ease the furrow of your brow. Look, when I came to the bakery with those flowers last night, that wasn't an accident. I wanted to tell you the truth. I really did. When you said you were in love with cellophane, you have no idea how happy that made me. But... His relieved smile faltered. When you mentioned our limited interactions, my bailing mid-baking, and the accusations of a lover, I didn't realize how much it affected you. I'm sorry. His voice lowered to a dejected tone, and your heart softened a little. I hid my face as a means of privacy from the public, he confessed. But that doesn't excuse the fact that I should have told you. Especially when I was beginning to fall for you. A flurry of warmth erupted from your chest, muscles tensing in surprise accompanied by the wild thrumming of your heartbeat. Did you hear him correctly? I figured if I wanted this feeling to go any further, and have a chance of a proper relationship, I had to let you know, despite my own insecurities. A proper relationship? You trailed off, cheeks ablaze. It didn't take long for Sero's cheeks to match your own. I'm sorry. I just figured, since you said you also liked me, I didn't mean to assume, if that's not what you want. God, I'm such an idiot. He turned away, sweeping his hands from his face to his hair. Poking out from his ebony hair were cherry-tinted ears. You heard him take an exasperated breath. I'm so sorry. The sight before you made you melt on the inside. Sero's shoulders hunched in on himself, hands laced together at the back of his flushed neck. Such a different sight to the helmed hero that faced you with confidence and flirty remarks. This was a man who wanted to love, who wanted to be loved, no matter the face or side of him he tried to hide. Sero jumped when he felt arms wrap around his frame, your head pressed against the center of his back. It's not that I don't want it. I just thought you already had someone. I don't, though. Sero responded with a small smile, hands moving from his neck to rest against yours. What about the florist? Those roses? He heard the doubt creeping in your voice. He lightly shook his head. Those roses? They were an inside joke between them and their boyfriend. He just asked me to deliver it to them. And what about those things you said? In the middle of baking? His smile widened, finally turning and hugging you properly. I was talking about you, dummy. You're the only person I willingly do deliveries for. You're the only person I visit after patrols to see how you're doing. You're the only person I make any dumb excuse to spend time with. The hands that you warmed up the night before were now wrapped around you, running through your hair and rubbing your back. He was warm and smelled slightly of citrus, and you weren't sure if that was his natural scent or the ambiance of the bakery. You nuzzled further into him. After the countless days of pining and heartache, being in the arms of a hero, of your hero, was like a slice of heaven. The sweetest treat not even you could create, but was created solely for you. You pulled away, enough to look him in the eye. Can we try it? A relationship, I mean. The color returned to your cheeks, and a smile bloomed on Sero's face. He put it back, reining in his overflowing excitement. Yeah, we can. His response made a timid smile curl upon your lips, burying yourself in his chest again. After a moment, he said, Sorry if it's a little forward, but can I kiss you? The little pop rocks in your heart ignited, tiny flickers of light dancing about your skin as you leaned up and captured Sero's lips with yours. Small bouts of heat left your body, your quirk reacting happily at finally being with a tape hero, finally seeing and loving the man beneath the mask. Oh God, sugar! Sero yelped, laughing as he collapsed into his embrace, steam leaving your body with your skin flushed red. Your quirk. You overdid it again. Despite it all, the smile never left your lips. For this man, and this man alone, you would malfunction in a sweet, steamy heartbeat.